different ways to ease stress, anxiety, and just kind of find peace in some of these crazy times. In the past, you've probably seen us talking about mindfulness and meditation and different things like that. But today, we're going to be talking about Tai Chi for liberation. And our guest here is Jim McBreen. He's going to share a little bit about what Tai Chi for liberation is. And it sounds like it's pretty interesting and will be good to help us on that journey of alleviating stress. So with that, Jim, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I'd just like to let the audience know that we just recently were able to hook up with each other, and I think it's a great opportunity you're providing people, especially at this time. Lord knows, we have enough stress typically in our lives, but compounded by what we're going through now, it's definitely timely for us to go ahead and discuss this. Just to basically as an intro, I've got involved with a combination of yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, and it was over a period of time, say 10 or 12 years, and it just led me to realize, regardless of the situation, almost in our day-to-day activities, people need this. It's something that we yearn for. We may not realize it, but once we find some sort of an application or a method that we can really release stress, it's just so beneficial, especially today. Oftentimes, many of you have probably already experienced just any type of breathing exercise to try. You find yourself in a stressful situation, not even intending it to be so, and you say to yourself, a lot of people are sharing, like, "Oh, have you meditated? Have you tried Tai Chi? Have you tried Qigong?" And all these things sound so foreign to us because, realistically, they are. But what I found is, and this goes back all the way to 1973 when I was in college, I had the great occasion to run across a teacher that basically that was her goal and that was her passion, to introduce people to yoga. So she set up that opportunity to have a place on campus to meet. And long story short, the next thing I knew is that I was deeply involved with learning more because, and what everybody is mainly concerned with, you can do all the things in the world, but when you get results and you feel comfortable and you feel relaxed, that's the old, what is it? The I forget the little acronym is it, but it's the truth. and as that went along, of course, like all us college people, we went off to our lives and did our businesses and did those things, and I really realistically got away from that for years. So about 12, 15 years ago, I was reintroduced, got back into it, and basically led me to all the other aspects that I use right now in a program that I developed called Yochi. Just a little brief explanation of that. I always found, after I had learned from other teachers about Qigong and Tai Chi, that there are times whenever that becomes sophisticated and it becomes mind-boggling, so to speak, and it makes it more difficult than you really think it is. It's like if you were to sit down with that and attempt that for maybe 2 or 3 weeks just to give it a break, all of a sudden it's like anything else. This isn't that difficult. I just was trying to eat the whole meal in one swoop, and we're all guilty of that. So a long story short is that of Yochi, there's components where it's Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, and of course, when I like to finish it with progressive meditation. So instead of getting into all that, one of the aspects that I found trying to learn original methods of Tai Chi is that very quickly I really felt myself that this is overwhelming. This is too much. It's too difficult. And by the time I learned it, the learning curve is so broad. So I happened to one time, through a really good teacher of mine, James Martin, introduce me to Qigong, but even more importantly, Tai Chi for liberation. And I said, Marty, I tried Tai Chi. He says, you haven't tried this, Jim? And that's why I want to at least introduce it to you, to know that not all these methods have to be very, very difficult. So in my attempts in my process to distill those things I just mentioned about Yo Chi, excuse me, about Yo Chi, is that this particular part of it, the Tai Chi for liberation, will probably take you 10 to 12 minutes to do. So when I could incorporate all those things in a method what I wanted to achieve was these things are going to be also difficult. Why not encapsulate these things, take the best from each of those and put that into about an hour program. So this particular part of Tai Chi for liberation, it takes about like that 10 or 12 minutes. And you can do this, and that's what I liked about it. You can do this on your own. You can do another component of it. You can just do the mindfulness breathing, whatever little aspect you can find that you enjoy doing, and you can fit it into that time period. Bingo. So I have a few notes here I just want to go ahead and share with you because my old feeble memory is not going to remember all that. If you'll bear with me just for 1 minute, because I want to give you a little bit of introduction to about the Tai Chi for liberation. And I love this quote here. It's actually from a gentleman, and he didn't put his last name. His name is Christopher. He talks about Tai Chi, and he says, if I had to summarize what I've learned from Taoist and Buddhist philosophy, it's been a deeper understanding of how to let go and connect with life. It's a kind of a yin and yang approach to everything. So in the Tao Te Ching, which is a book you may want to, if you have an opportunity to investigate, I would recommend that. His advice was to yield with difficulties, reduce clutter, create space, and let go. And on the flip side, the great masters of the East offer wonderful advice on how to connect more closely with the world around us, with nature, with creative activities and people, and with the great flow of existence. They emphasize how we are a part of nature, a part of this universe. And as we let go of our limited human thoughts and obsessions, we fall back gracefully into the source of all things, essentially connecting directly with the universal field of energy and spirit that brought us into being. So, this is who we really are, the sages and the masters tell us. We are this great dance of life, awareness and creative activity. Breathing in deeply and mindfully, we pull the outer world into us, breathing out slowly and let it go. So when you hear something like that, I can't scoff that off. I can't, oh, that's pretty, that's a nice verse. This to me is like a reality of living. And in times when we need, just as Dale introduced us, we need to find a way to make us happy, to help us relax, and to remove stress. So, okay. So what is really Tai Chi? In theory, Tai Chi directly, Chi is vital energy. You've often heard of it if you've practiced yoga as prana, the breath, and that's just the Sanskrit word for breath. All right, so where proper flow of Chi is said to be necessary to maintain health, Tai Chi is thought to stimulate the flow of Chi through the body and the organs through movement and breathing. Okay. For those of you familiar with those forms of yoga, as I mentioned, that's basically prana or breath. Now, many of us who have attempted, I've found, to learn Tai Chi, they've basically given up due to the frustration of memorizing very intricate and very detailed movements. So my theory for the Tai Chi for liberation and for discovering it is that's what I want to avoid. It's like anything. If you're gonna have to go out and perform an activity, and you go, oh, I got to go lift weights. I got to go to the gym. I know I'm supposed to go to the gym, or whatever it is that you feel that you've done in your past. Well, that we don't need that. We need to say, oh, I got to get home and do Tai Chi, or I got to get home and do Yo Chi or yoga or whatever it is, or even doing it standing in the line at the grocery store. There's oftentimes I've learned a really wonderful point. It's like you get frustrated, you're in traffic. One of the great things that Thich Nhat Hanh taught me was when you see those brake lights come on, breathe. The brake lights are on. I'm here right now. I can't do anything about the situation I'm in. Next thing you know, traffic's moving, and you kind of let it go, and that's what we're about right now. So let me move on to what this John Milton is the guy that I want you to keep in the back of your mind. And if anybody's taking any notes, write John Milton down. And John Milton says, on Tai Chi for Liberation, he reveals a vital practice missing from most Tai Chis that people have learned in the West, also known as Wuji Tai Chi. This practice was created at Wudang Mountain in the 13th century by legendary Taoist masters Chang Sang Feng. Now, Milton, one of the few Western teachers, was invited as an honored Taoist cultivator to Wudang. He presents a training program for practicing this revered act. And I'll give you some more information in detail as we go on. But the actual DVD that he did was done somewhere near Arches National Park, in the desert Southwest. So the setting itself is just, it's, I don't know, like some of us are outdoors people, and if you have been or haven't been to the great out west, or if you're on the East Coast or wherever, but it's just beautiful in form. So the earth form, he teaches two forms which are built into this Tai Chi for Liberation. One is the earth form, one is the heaven form. So it brings together a combination of those two where he's drawing chi from. So our body itself can be a chi reservoir. There's a spot right here, and many of you may know about it, called the Dan Tien. The Dan Tien is in the Taoist form where your energy is stored. And you'll oftentimes see people, when they're practicing, they'll either have their hands in close proximity to the navel or right below it. Well, the Dan Tien is actually where it's supposed to be physically located, is about 2 fingers below your navel. And that is your energy source. And as there are locations through your body, and I'm not going to get real technical into the names of those right now, but the 2 areas in your palms, there's a spot right here which is often referred to as the third eye. And at the very top of your head, it's referred to as the byway. Now, it's not spelled like byway, like you'd see in a traffic or something. And then in the same sections or areas where your palms are, right at the very bottoms, underneath your arch of your feet. So when a Taoist is actually, if he's just doing meditation himself, for calmness, for anxiety release, whatever the reason being, you have a chance. And when you start to do this, if some of you maybe have already be aware of it or something, but you can start to actually feel the absorption of energy through those areas, and you will draw them up through the feet, through the legs, to the Dan Tien, from the palms down through your wrists and everything, through the central part of your heart down to the Dan Tien, and also from that third eye and the byway, as we talked about, drawing that down there. And at first, and I'll be completely sincere, you first to try this and you're thinking like, oh man, what are you talking about? And it's like everything else. I was pretty much a skeptic about a lot of things when I began to learn it, because it's my nature. And I remember leaving after class one day, and I was getting ready to walk out the door, and the other students had filtered out, and Marty turned his head and looked over at me, and he had this kind of smirky little smirk on his face, and he said, "Feel any chi today, Jim?" Because he knew from, like, I was standing there thinking like, what's going on here? This, I don't know about this. And Marty says, it's not to know, it's to do. So, and of course, knowing does come later. And I hope that you really have an opportunity to give this an opportunity to give it a go, because that's how we learn. And anyhow, so if I'm doing Tai Chi for Liberation, at the end of this, I'm going to do a little bit of a demo just to sort of show you some of the movements. But I wanted to make sure I didn't leave anything out there but John Milton said. Just says he presents a movement-based path for helping you attain inner peace, physical health, and spiritual awakening. Discover the benefits of this, and this is his, and believe me, I'm not getting anything from John over this. I just want you to know I'm sharing his information. But he describes it as an easy to learn form immediately as you unblock and purify your meridians, gather and refine your chi, and ultimately cultivate deep levels of clarity and bliss. Now, I know we've all read, on occasions from different publications, the same kind of thing. Hey, you want to get some bliss? I got bliss in a bottle here. I just think that he did a very accurate description of what he's attempting to do. So take that for what it's worth. If any of you are out there are capable right now of taking notes, what I just wanted to share you is where you can see this as a free demo and give it a shot. The website is called Sounds True. And there's probably many of you, I don't know if you've explored other publications, they're pretty big on a spiritual network of books and DVDs and things like that. So he obviously went through Sounds True, I guess, to do his production or to do his marketing. And there's a free demo video on there, so you can really take a little bit of an intro look to this before you decide. The product code is I'm going to just say this. It's VT01354W. That's the product code. But if you go on to Sounds True and just ask for Tai Chi for Liberation, the file types that are supported is JPEG, MP4, and PDF. So if those of you, I don't know if that's a tech savvy thing, but anyhow, that's my little ditty about what he's trying to do and what's available for you to go ahead and take a look at this. So without further ado, let me see if I can step back here and give you a little bit of a description of this, okay? Let me know if I'm okay there, Dale.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the main concepts of Tai Chi and Qigong, as a matter of fact, is kind of, you'll see a lot of times people, they'll get into, stand at attention kind of thing. I lost you, Dale. Okay, I'm assuming you're still there. Do you have any feedback?
I'm still here. I'm just giving you some room to.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I lost you. But you'll often see people very rigid, like in an attention type thing and all that. And what you want to do is you want to feel your body's rounded. You feel that there's like a curve and everything, like you're taking a huge breath and just settling in. If you look at my body now and I'm like this, I'm very rigid, strict at attention. But in Tai Chi, you want to actually feel rounded and soft. We mentioned to you that the Dantian is about here. There's some other areas that we mentioned, the Bai and things, but basically doing his method of Tai Chi, you're basically taking your hands, they'll say lift hands, and the hands are very slow. It's basically initiating the movement of Qi. As I come up here, my left finger is just right on my Dantian, then they go to palm gazing. And all these things are just nothing more than a way to you to focus your attention on what you're doing. So as I come back from palm gazing, I basically, a lot of the Tai Chi people use a rounded sphere, which they refer to as the Tai Chi sphere. So as I bring this in, the next thing is, and this is something you'll see more on the DVD, but you're basically using that, directing Qi throughout your body in a method that he designed. And the only thing I think that the best way to describe that is when you actually have a chance to do this. Instead of me going through all the actions of Tai Chi, I'll do a little bit of the lift hands, palm gazing, grasping the Tai Chi, the Chi sphere up inside your entire body. It goes up through your chest, held up here where the third eye is, back down, then offering the Chi sphere. Forward, right, left, and it's usually a less slower motion, right again, back to the Dantian, turning the Dantian. Then he'll turn slowly to one side and then bringing in Qi, directional Qi. And then I'd be turning each one of these you would do in a circle as you go 90 degrees each time. But as I'd come around, the Qi would be back here, turning, setting it back until you go all the way around and you've done the four areas of earth Qi. And you'll be ending, you'll see how rounded it is and comfortable. Reaching down to the earth Qi, and you're bringing Qi up, and you're bringing it, centering it all the way back down. What's really interesting about this is that's just, on those 4 turns is half of that particular process. And the nice thing about the second part of it, head and Qi, is that as you make that turn and you're bringing Qi down to the Dantian, you're just basically breathing Qi for about 3 times. And as you finish this particular one, the Earth Chi, and I'll do it as I turn towards you this way. It's really a nice, beautiful movement, and as you learn this, you'll be doing it in no time easily, and you'll feel the benefits. So as I turn, basically I always call it open the door with your backhand, step over, let your right hand float up, lead with the left down to Earth Chi, breathing it into the heart, right palm faces forward, left palm faces back, releasing Chi. And this is a beautiful movement. Dragon washes his face 9 times. I won't do all 9 times. And as you come down, when you finish it, you're basically, they call it churning the urn. And you're taking, after you've done this whole process, this is where the Dantian is located and the energy is stored. 9 times like this, as you churn the urn, back up, down to collect Chi. So without going completely through the entire process, I would say that at least if you go on to the webpage, to his Sounds True, it'll give you a really good indication of instead of just bombarding you with the entire process at one time. And that is pretty much Tai Chi for liberation. If you were to go ahead and take it, and maybe some of you out there have taken a Tai Chi class, you would probably not really be able to do a full form Tai Chi until you were involved in it for like 10 to 12 weeks. And this particular Tai Chi for liberation, I believe that once you had 2 or 3 good, if you watch the video, you'll pick it up pretty good. It'd be nicer if you had someone that could actually show you, but I will say that if you watch the video enough, and you can start maybe to hook up with some people that have either seen it or they're aware of that form, in no time you'll be wanting to do it because it's not a lengthy process, and you'll be able to share it. So if there's any questions or anything, anything that you had observations, Dale, I'm certainly glad to hear.
Yeah, well, I mean, so for me, I really have no background whatsoever in Tai Chi. I just think that, as I've gone on my journey, getting deeper in meditation, I'm trying to think if I probably was exploring Taoism before I got into meditation, and then I kind of dug deeper in Taoism and then Buddhism, and so as I explored these different topics and things like that, Tai Chi was kind of one of the things that I looked at, and I was also looking for martial arts that were related to more passive kind of defense sort of things that would be potentially of interest to my son. And so anyhow, long story short, Tai Chi is something that kind of kept crossing my paths. And so it's very intriguing to me. And I wasn't really, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think it's beautiful to watch.
It is.
And I think that it's, the interesting thing, I think from an outsider's perspective that has no background, you see these moves and and whatnot that seems very graceful. But if it's anything like yoga, I bet it looks like it's very easy to do and whatever. But then when I had a matter of fact, I had a girl just reach out to me recently that did a 7-day yoga challenge a couple years ago. And I did that, and holy crap, did I find out how out of shape I was and how difficult yoga was. I'm like, wow, that was, stretching my body in ways that I never have, or not in a long time anyhow. And I was really wiped out at the end of each session. It was like I was really pushing myself, like, I don't know, like I was doing some serious gym work and things like that. And so I have a respect for it, and I didn't do anything while you were practicing, but now I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch this and potentially look at the video and give it a try myself, because I just think that I like what we're talking about here as far as the Tai Chi for liberation, because from what I understand you saying is that that's kind of an easier way to get into the game, right?
Absolutely. And as we mentioned before, I'd seen just numbers and numbers of people that were really dedicated and made a commitment to learning the different forms. I can't imagine. There's so many that just said, "Oh, yeah, it's first of all, everybody's bonkers about how much time they have to do something. So you're going to be successful if you boil it down into something. Say in my Yo Chi practice incorporates all those things, and that's like an hour and 10 minutes. So if you say, okay, of the yoga aspect of it, that might be 20 minutes, or and that's what I wanted to really get going, was the fact that you could go ahead and do an entire Yo Chi practice, finishing with mindfulness meditation through movement, and through progressive meditation, and you're like, wow, I did the whole thing. But say you're somewhere and you say, I'm at work, I'm just at my desk, and I'm like thinking, oh, I got a deadline, I got all these things going on. I can stand up and do, 2 courses of Tai Chi for liberation. And after you become familiar with it, that it's not really a struggle, like you're trying to remember, am I doing this right? Am I doing, we've
Sure.
talked about that, you and I,
Yeah.
that there is no wrong. It's like if you're doing it, your gracefulness and your understanding of the process will happen even in more detail and more depth as you perform it. So that's why, of those other things that we talked about, the other components of my practice, that this is something that you can go on. All the different components of my practice are not from Jim McBreen. They are from the people that have developed all these things over a long period of time. And I've cherry picked, is what I've done. I've taken and said, and also on this particular point, it's what I found from working with people seemed to resonate more with them as well.
Okay.
So if I would introduce one component of it without doing the other and then put it all together, that was my process. So, and then of course I'd have fill out a feedback at the end of classes and everything. And as it slowly came together over 7 or 8 years, I said, this is it, because it's product tested. It's got the people, the folks that I have confidence in, and those that stayed with it, which is pretty much a majority, said, here's what to do, throw it out there. And then I love the fact of breaking it down. So get out there
Sure.
and try that Tai Chi for liberation, and then we'll save something for another time, as far as like different books that I have on the other components of it. But
Okay.
I don't know if anybody out there have a kind of Q&A thing, or just how this is set up.
So usually, some comments will come through. I don't see anything at this point.
So
So
people may look at this as the video as a whole, and then
yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah,
and
that's what I did with the yeah,
so
okay.
ideally, what we try and do is we try and get a bunch of people on live, and sometimes it looks like there's a few people that are watching. And if you have any questions, please feel free to share in the comments, and we'll be happy to answer. Um, but I will say that a lot of times we get a handful of people that are watching the original live, and then afterwards they watch they'll see the replay and catch it when they have free time and things like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so questions may come up later, and if they do, I'll certainly either tag you, or we can talk about it in the next video if we decided do another one and things like that. Let me ask you this question though. So you mentioned so it's called Yo Chi is kind of what you teach. Is that correct? That's kind of like putting the things together.
Yeah, Yo Chi is just nothing more than I had to develop. I wanted to develop a program, and I remember talking with the fellow that I mentioned, James Martin, and as I was learning from him, I had a pretty good depth of understanding and practice of yoga. Uh, Qigong and Tai Chi were new to me. Progressive meditation, walking meditation, mindfulness meditation, many of those I was pretty solid in.
Okay.
And once I saw the benefits of both the Qigong that I learned, and I was very fortunate, the guy that I learned from, James Martin, was traveled to China, lived there for a couple of years, and got involved in one particular aspect of it called Qilel Qigong. And for those of you, we'll just do a little spin off if it's okay with you. The,
Sure.
the, the, the Qigong part of this is the management and use of energy, through your body, through various methods. And
Okay.
of course, the first belief is going to be, do you believe in energy? And if you can, and I don't really look at this as a belief situation. It's like you try it and you tell me, or you tell yourself, what did you feel from this? Um, Many people I have come in contact with, it really resonates. And I think that, and you and I discussed this a little bit about the credibility of the person that you're speaking with. After a period of time, you can really, the vibes from somebody and getting to know somebody, like you and I have not known each other long, but I feel like I know you. You know what I mean?
Sure. Hmm.
Sure, I don't know you 100%, but from conversations and everything, well, that's what I found if my heart is pure and true, and I'm out there trying to go ahead and not so much get you to believe in something or try something or attract something. If I'm just aware that I think this is beneficial, I think it would really be beneficial if you just give it a try.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's how many things. Where do you see that that often these days? So basically, that's what had happened. Putting these components together. And just before, when I was just doing the Kripalu yoga part with the mindfulness meditation and the progressive at the end, once I really discovered Tai Chi and Qigong in his form too, of which there's other forms of Qigong too. But the Qigong is just energy movement. It's more for a healing. A lot of people find that, the Chinese gather in the squares just as equally almost for Tai Chi as they do Qigong. And I'm saying Qigong because that's how you pronounce it. Everybody sees Qigong. It's like Gunk, Qigong. It's like
Okay.
Qigong. And that's the real pronunciation. So in combination, boy, I felt so good about learning and participating and experiencing that. So I thought, wow, we don't want to get into some kind of program that's like 2 hours long. You know what I mean? It's like you can go to the gym. A lot of people aren't going to go to the gym for 2 hours. But if I could distill that and that way, another part of this thing that I really like, Dale, say you really get interested in one facet of that.
Hmm.
Bingo, there's your tributary. You can advance right down that road as far as it wants to take you and
Sure.
not say like, well, I don't need to do all this other stuff or it doesn't resonate with me, but this does. So you've been exposed to four things instead of one thing in a class.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
that's where Yo Chi comes from.
Well, and so that, I mean, so that's interesting that you shared that. I mean, that's to be honest, that's part of what this, this whole program is all about, is kind of exposing people to different paths to find whatever works for them. And so I like that, obviously I'm trying to live that kind of mentality of sharing different ideas and, let the viewer decide what works best for them. But I really am a firm believer in, you know, you don't have to believe what I say. We've talked about this a little bit. You don't have to believe what I say. Just go out and try it. And if you do feel the energy or you do feel the results or you feel like it's working for you, then just keep doing whatever that piece is.
Absolutely. And you have the opportunity to do your own research. If you say, "Oh, this guy was talking about Tai Chi for liberation," or look it up, go delve into it. That's why I wanted to throw out those. And sure, I think that little intro that James Milton was going to put out, it's a little tickler to go ahead and say, "Yeah, get my DVD." But I who doesn't do that? But I can attest to the fact that well, I can attest to the fact that I'm glad I did.
Very good.
And
So
that actually was a recommendation from James Martin, who also started to absorb that into his practice.
gotcha. So let me ask you this. So you're an instructor, is that correct?
Good.
Yeah. Okay. So what is this practice, like in going to the gym and different things like that? They recommend, you should go 3 days a week and go for, a half hour, whatever the time frame is, but kind of create some sort of routine. And part of that is for health aspects, and part of it is probably to have the practice and the consistency so you stick with it and you keep doing things. But
That's true.
but is so what is the typical recommendation? So you're talking about this is like an hour or an hour 20 minutes maybe for the
Yeah, I Actually, the way I do this, I have a good amount of music, and I usually go ahead and take that, and most of that music is like 56 minutes to maybe an hour and 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
So by me knowing that music so well and teaching those classes, I know where I am in it. And I always know when I want to leave that. It ends up to be at about anywhere between 8, 9 minutes or so of progressive relaxation. And it's after you do the entire Yochi process. So you've done a combination of the yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong. Then you go down and you're basically going through the closing of it, through that progressive meditation. And when you get done with that, and you basically are back up, and we'll do our, namaste and a greeting to say that I appreciate your sharing it with me. I can't tell you the number of people that just do not want to get up and leave. And so you kind of know you're onto something. You know what I mean? And that's not the goal. That's not my goal. My goal is that if you learn something that's beneficial for you, that's it.
Yeah.
Go out. Like I oftentimes went and say, all right, now leave me now and go commit random acts of kindness.
There you go.
So I'm hopeful that I have a really good friend in the visual arts at Cecil College here where I live, and we've talked about and shared about it. And I said I really would like to do a DVD, because not everybody can always be in one place or do anything. And the nice part I love about this is once you actually have experienced that. Well, of course, I've been doing it for 11 years, the culmination of it now. You will learn it fairly quickly. Now, it's going to take a little bit of study to learn the areas I talked about, like there's the Ming Man, which is all these different terminology that would be in any kind of a new learning intention.
Sure.
So, but that's, believe me, it's that the learning curve is not nearly as what it can be in some things. So that's basically the goal eventually. But if you were actually getting at like time period, I'd say an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. And the newbies that I had they were clamoring for more. It's like, I want to do this tomorrow. I want to do this. How many times can you do this? Well, I'm saying like twice a week is typically, what was going on.
Okay.
And that's in conjunction with people teaching other classes. Like just somebody teaching a certain like hot yoga or doing something like that.
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Well,
what? An hour's not that bad for the full thing.
uh-huh.
But what I even liked about it is that we talked about that the progressive relaxation and meditation at the end. I
Hmm.
can't tell you the times I've just done that.
Oh, yeah.
Just feeling stressed or something. I know that I can start from the bottom of my feet, go all the way up through my knees, my legs, into even relaxing core organs, up into my heart and my lungs, up through my neck, my esophagus, to my brain, to the left and right hemisphere. All these things sounds like, oh, you're doing all this. It just takes a little bit of time. And the great thing, Dale, that we talked about ourselves. What's the most key thing in meditation that you would say?
Well, I mean, I think it's it's going to
There's
be
there's no wrong there's no
breathing.
wrong answer. The breath.
Yeah.
And so when you're working your way through, even though you're doing different positions and things in yoga, the whole thing that does that is the breath part of it, because it expands and contracts and it actually massages the organs because you're in different areas of those positions. Well, when you take and compound that, add that into a Tai Chi session with a Qigong session, which you're really generating and trying to flow energy to areas that you feel that need it, and then you get all done and you lay down and you relax everything from the feet to your top of your head. I can't help it. I'm joyful.
Well, so that's the thing is, this whole program is trying to help people relieve stress and anxiety. And in this time, sometimes we need to check out and do something different than be in the thick of all the chaos, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
taking some time to be present and just be thinking about whatever, this one thing, whether it's the meditative breathing or if it's the Tai Chi for liberation or the whole thing.
Yeah.
it allows you to come back to self and focus on taking care of yourself. And that's the thing in my eyes that is so overlooked in the world today. You know what I mean? Unless you've gone down this path in some way, we often never take care of ourselves. We never take a moment to say, what's going on? And
That's a
so,
really good point because you know what, it seems like, and I've seen this sometimes, people feel guilty if they're taking care of themselves because, oh, I should be taking care of this and doing that. But if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be there for Nancy, Joey, and Johnny, you know?
yeah,
But
yeah.
and
Well,
you hit the point right on the head there, though, about self work, and you had some other people in some of the shows about self work is so important, and it's not an ego thing. It's just as required as helping others.
sure, sure. Well, in the Buddhist space, they always make the connection or the analogy of you're on the airplane and the mask drops down. What do? They tell you to put yours on first, and then you can help your child or your spouse or whoever.
That's right.
And sometimes that does, in our world, sometimes that does seem selfish, and that does seem, whatever. We get hung up on that, but really, here's one of the things for me. I've been looking for ways to change the world, and so for years I've been thinking, okay, so what could I do to add value to the world? How can I change the world? Well, what I did, I started working on myself and changing myself, and what I found was that changed things around me. And so that's much bigger than really what this program is all about. But here's what I will tell you: if you practice some of the things Jim's talking about, or the meditation, or whatever, you get on one of these paths some way, you take that time to do the self work, and what you will see is it will change things around you. People will recognize, people will notice that you're happier, and that's the thing too. You can create a sustainable happiness, right? In the everyday world, if we're not doing any of this stuff, it's often a fleeting happiness from purchasing a product, or doing something that gets us a raise, or different things in the world, right? And so we're always chasing that next little fix to find happiness. But I will tell you, being calm and at peace by doing this, and I'm sure the program that you're talking about will do the exact same thing as some of the things that I've done. Boy, when you settle down and you just take a minute and you
Yeah.
just be patient and calm, and you do your breathing, I will guarantee you, as crazy as it sounds, if you turn this into a practice, you will find a different level of happiness than you've experienced in all your life. And
I just, on that note, I just really like to share one thing, and people have talked about different aspects of breathing, and this is just a little something I just came onto. I don't know if I sent that to you and shared it to you, but it's called 4-2-6-2 breathing, and I did a little bit of research on it, and it almost, I think it was either shortly after or during the last part of World War II, when soldiers would go into combat, or pilots themselves were going in on missions and things. I can't name the study and everything, but they said if you take and you breathe in for 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for 2, and breathe out for 6, hold for 2. And I'll do that one more time. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, breathe out for 6, hold for 2. I mean, hold for 2, just don't even breathe, just hold your breath. You do 5 or 6 repetitions of that at any time whenever you just sort of feel like, I'm frazzled, I'm going nuts here, what am I going to do? You all of a sudden realize that you're in now. You're right here, you're doing nothing but breathing. And you're asking yourself, well, why am I breathing at this level? Without, after the third or fourth time, thinking about those particular time periods that you're doing it, just seem to go I don't know why I was doing that, but I'm glad I did that. You know what I mean? So it's a proven method, and it all relates back to I don't know, you may remember one of the first books I ever read about all this stuff is called The Relaxation Response.
Hmm.
If you any of you out there that are listening to this and you get a chance yourself, Dale, get a hold of it. It was the really first, it was the first mainline. I won't call it meditation or anything, but it really talked about all these things, the studies that people about anxiety and depression and all the things in this really busy bit. And this book was probably written as in the maybe 70s, 60s or 70s.
Okay.
Really well done. And he was either a Yale or a Harvard graduate that was a neurologist or whatever. But anyhow, that's where the real key start I saw about this. And it's a very nice little primer that's a good takeoff on all the breath work that you know about and people do for relaxation, meditation, and stress reduction.
Sure, sure. I have a buddy, Michael Caesar Lau, who actually was on the show, gosh, some time ago, but he was talking about what he called box breathing, which is similar to what you were talking about, except I think the numbers were different, and I can't recall.
Oh, breath work, yeah.
I think it was like 8-4-8-4. Is kind of how he was doing it, but the other piece there is that I like that you mentioned about the book. And what was the book called again?
The Relaxation Response.
Okay, so that's something I'm going to have to look up because I haven't saw that. But I love the science behind a lot of this stuff. And so the crazy thing from an outside perspective, and I was skeptical myself, is we see some of this stuff. Tai Chi. We're like, how much? When I see it, initially I was like, well, how much can that be moving when you're just like very calm and peaceful, and so I was kind of skeptical about that. With the breathing stuff, I just kind of thought, that's some woo-woo stuff. That's not for me, whatever, right? But then I practiced some of this stuff and I was like, okay, well, they're on to something, but there's actually science behind, a lot of this stuff. And so for any of those skeptics out there, look for the science, look for people that are actually doing medical studies and things on this, because the neuroscience and neurology of this stuff is actually pretty impressive. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it is.
some proven stuff.
Well, and what's really fascinated me too is that these people were doing this 800 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, and whenever somebody like James Milton gets invited to travel to Wudang Mountain and is with those Taoist masters, and that people basically grew up in the temple doing this stuff on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say like, "Hi, I'm Jim." You know what I mean? It's because things almost slow down to a complete standstill. But yeah, your show's doing great. You're really onto something to share these things, and I have a really, and I don't want to call it a strange feeling, but I'm truly concerned about where we are as a world right now. And it's not that we just arrived here. We grew into this situation. And now
Sure.
what to me is eventually happening is that we have to step back. This is an opportunity to step back and really take stock at, like, what are we really about? Where are we really going? What do we want to be? And the simple fact of doing some of these, spiritual or just physical, I mean, because as you mentioned, it is equally a physical workout as well. So it's the same old, the trilogy: mind, body, spirit. And this gives you time to do this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, I know you got kids over here being fed and you want all those kind of things, but when the lights go down, the kids go to bed, or you have that kind of 15 or 20 minutes, just give it a little shot, and that's the test of the pudding. If you find that all of a sudden, wow, you know what? I feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here. I think uh, let's see. I don't see it coming up, but I think Miles Sandoval is someone that was actually on the show with us a couple weeks ago, and she was actually talking about using meditation in the recovery setting. So
Oh yeah, okay.
for addicts and alcoholics and different things like that. And so she does some instruction there. So for some reason it's not popping up here, so I can share it. I'm not sure why, but what it says is y'all are absolutely right. I hate fluff. This is well supported by the available evidence. So thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Miles. I appreciate you watching and participating here.
Yeah, it's nice. Feedback is always nice. It's certainly not our goal, but I just hope that it's my hope, because I'm getting to be a pretty old guy now. I'm in my 70s, and to see that there's an opportunity. I mean, I think that, like we were talking about, the proof is, um, I'm not making money from this. I will take money whenever I'm doing the classes and things like that. But my goal is such as yours. I want to at least have information out there that people are in distress, or even if you're not in distress, but you can take something, incorporate it into your life, share it with people and children. Even my daughter's young boy is like 6 years old now. He meditates on a daily basis,
Oh,
and this
wow.
only started about 6 months ago. And I've never seen anything like somebody tell Mom, "Can you not bother me now? I need to go and meditate." And he's 6 years old, so he's only got a jump of about 50 years on me.
Yeah, right on. So
Yeah,
what does that future look like? He's got a bright future.
I'd like to think so. I really would.
Well, let me ask you this question based on what you mentioned. So you said you're 70, and so how do you think this stuff plays out for the older community? So first off, is it, I believe some of the science or medical stuff shows that it extends life, I believe. But what about being more just being healthier at an older age? I mean, you've been doing it
Well,
for a long time, so it's something that you just do. But I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are on that.
okay, and I'm really kind of glad that that you asked that, because I've always been a person that wanted to maintain my physical fitness.
Okay,
Um, Sometimes driven a little harder because of external, like, how do you look? How do people see you? I bet, because it's just sort of, I guess, a part of who you want, and how you seem to think you need to be recognized.
sure.
Well, as this developed, I really will, and I'm glad to say that my ego has diminished. You know what? My ego has diminished tremendously, to the extent that it's not about me. I love the practice. And what I have really found is that in all the other activities that I do, which I hike quite a bit, I still do biking. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm 72. Well, as they say, I'm in my 73rd year. But anyhow, to answer that, the spiritual component of it in combination, that's another thing to remember. If this isn't your gig about having the total spiritual component to it, just like you mentioned, you do like an hour of yochi, or whatever kind of whatever you decide to get into, the qigong or yoga or anything, and even if you weren't into any of the qis yet, a big time proponent of yoga itself, however, whatever part of that you find, because that sort of opens the field there. Yoga is very popular. You can find yoga anywhere in the United States, and it's
Sure.
grown exponentially in the last 10 years. And just remember how many people were poo-pooing that. Now the Ravens are doing it, the Oakland Raiders, the sports teams have incorporated yoga into their actual workouts and everything, because as we get older, guess what? We can still no matter what we do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lose strength. But guess what? Flexibility is what you need.
Mm,
All these aspects of this, you'll still get a good workout, but I can still, my flexibility is for my age and everything is really good. So here, I hopped on my bike the other day, and I had a friend that I just met, and I said, well, I don't know if I can keep up with you or anything, so let's go out and do a little tune up around. And I kind of held my own pretty well. Well, come to find out, he's 10 years younger than I am. So I said, oh, I thought I was giving up a little bit there. Yeah, yes, if it doesn't really suit you spiritually, which I think eventually it will, because we're growing that way, the physical benefits are equal. They really are. Without killing yourself, without saying, I got to do that third set. I got to do that third set. You won't know. It just happens as you go along through it, and you're okay.
Well, very good. Very good. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground here. Boy, I appreciate you sharing all the stuff, giving some tips, and the actual practice, I think is really wonderful. And, at this point, I hope people are getting some different perspective and different ideas on some of the things that we haven't even scratched the surface talking about. And so I appreciate you sharing that stuff with us. But, if you're interested, maybe we find another topic to discuss, and we'd love to have you back if you're interested. But
Oh, I'd love
it's been
to,
a
because
blast.
as I talked about Yo Chi, and not even saying that it's just Yo Chi, it'd be nice to address some of the other components to that if you'd like. Especially the one thing that I would like to share with people, and it's widely distributed. There's things out there, but I would like to actually go ahead and do my progressive relaxation meditation,
Yeah, that would be
because
great.
that's something regardless of wherever people want to go with, wherever direction they're headed. That this works with anything. This works if you get the kids to bed, and you're after dinner and you want to just go into the sofa by yourself, or even sometimes I'll do it before I go to bed. And I try to stay completely and fully aware. Next thing I know, it's tomorrow.
Very good. Good.
Well,
Okay. Well,
thank you, Dale. It's nice to be a part of this, and also to strike up what I hopefully see as a good friendship.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to continued conversations, and I think we'll have you back on. I'd love to hear about the progressive meditation. That sounds interesting to me. So,
Absolutely, my pleasure.
all right. Well, hey everyone, thank you for this. If you like this video and you're getting value out of some of this stuff, then again, feel free to join the using mindfulness and meditation for stress management. Again, basically what that group is it's just the collection of all the videos, so it's easy for you to tune out all the other garbage that's in your feed or in my feed, and find a little safe space to get down to finding peace and calm in the world. And so anyhow, thank you so much for watching, guys. And again, Jim, thank you. And we're going to call it a day here. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Take care, folks.